Hi, I'm Daniel Thornton, Head of Music and Creative Arts here at AC. And this is an introductory video to provide musical leadership in performance, CUAMPF507. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about the content and then look at the learning outcomes and finally look at the assessments and see how all that comes together. Providing musical leadership in performance. I think one of the lovely things about musical performance is it can often be very collaborative, that everyone's giving their 2 cents worth and everyone has an opinion and has something to contribute. But ultimately, often, most of the time, any kind of ensemble, any kind of group of musicians playing together needs some kind of leadership provided. And it could be very subtle. It might just be it might be a nod or a look, or it might be a hand signal, or it might be just initiating discussions about how to improve. It might not be in the context of the actual performance, it might be in rehearsal contexts. But this unit is all about how to provide musical leadership in performance, whether it be in the preparation of that, after that performance, or within the performance itself. So we cover it's a very practical unit, and so a lot of this is about things that you'll be working on while you're working with other musicians, rather than sitting in a class listening to someone lecture on how to show more leadership in music, which would be a bit weird, wouldn't it? But the learning outcomes that we need to cover are extend musical techniques. And the thing is, when you have command of a greater pool of musical skills and knowledge, then of course you bring more to the table in a bunch of musicians. If I have no idea how to add in a seventh to a chord, then I can't make that suggestion to the guitarist when the chord sounds a bit bland. But if I have that knowledge, I say, well, how about you throw in a seventh? Or, if that's a bit awkward on the guitar, what about a second? Throw in the second. Maybe drop the third. I've got that covered here. So extend music techniques is about you having more in your toolkit to be able to offer when it comes to providing leadership. The second learning outcome is facilitate the expression of ideas and concepts in performance. So obviously, in everyone's mind, there is some kind of ideal scenario of performance, right? I know when I lead worship, there's certain things that I'm expecting. I'm expecting the musicians to do. I'm expecting a song to work in a particular way. I'm expecting vocalists to work with me in a particular way to bring about the best expression of that song that I'm trying to do. This is about how you lead that process. Now, that might not mean, in my situation, I might not be the worship leader, therefore I might not be making all the calls on the expectations for each song. But I can still influence, I can still contribute to making what we're going to do better. And that's what that learning outcome is about. Evaluate performances. Such a crucial thing to be able to honestly, candidly evaluate ourselves and others, which is not in a destructive way, but in a really constructive way and an encouraging way that draws the best out of those that we're working with. And finally, number 4, enhance professional practice. And that's about trying to keep our eyes bigger than just the thing that we're working on at the time, that our appreciation that other people are doing what we're doing so we can learn from them. And there are other resources out there that if we're paying attention to, we can draw from and continue to improve. So the way that we measure all that is through 3 assessments, surprise, surprise. One of those is simply in forum writing. So every week, as we talk about particular content, you'll bring some of that content into a discussion in the forums. So it might be asking questions about something, it might be commenting on particular music knowledge or techniques or genres or the challenges of implementing certain things. It could be anything. Particularly, I've got some questions here about what you've been listening to, about what performances you've seen, about what you've been practicing, and what skills you're currently working on. The second item is provide musical leadership, and basically in some kind of context, and obviously it's going to involve other musicians, otherwise you're not providing leadership to anyone except yourself, which is good. But you need to find a context where you're playing with other musicians, and whether it's as the music director or as the lead vocalist or a worship leader, or in some kind of context, you need to demonstrate that you can provide musical leadership. And if you look at the performance criteria, you'll see the specific kind of ways in which you can do that and what that might look like. Because it can feel a bit nebulous, can't it? And, it's not just talking. For example, Performance Criteria 2.1 says, adapt, combine and integrate techniques, disciplines and skills to enable the appropriate physical expression of concepts during performance. Well, that might not involve one single word, but, as a drummer, you might be providing a lot of leadership in terms of creating the groove, in terms of creating dynamic shape for the performance. So, read through that and you'll get a sense of the different ways in which you can provide musical leadership. And of course, finally, assessment 3 is the evaluation and professional development aspect, and that's normally done in an interview kind of style, a chat about strengths and weaknesses and how you feel audiences responded and what professional development opportunities are there for you. All of that's in the assessment details. Sometimes when that can't be an interview because you're in a different time zone or it's not working, that could just be you talking to a camera and uploading that and it being marked by the assessor, based on you addressing the performance criteria and various elements that are in the assessment details. So there you go. That's that one. It can feel a little obscure, but it really is a valuable. Unit. We all can provide better leadership, even if we're never in the ultimately, the authoritative role in an ensemble. We can all provide leadership as musicians through our example, through the discussions that we contribute to, through the way that we encourage others. And I actually think that creates a great environment for making things constantly better and helping people get to where they want to go as musicians and singers. So devote yourself to learning those skills and knowledge.